Welcome to our public presentation of HILL Vietnam 2022. I'm Ginta Yamaguchi, head of the institute. We, HILL Vietnam, are Hakuhodo's think tank dedicated to analyzing Vietnamese people holistically and doing public presentations like this ever since its foundation. The previous theme was about selfie. Why do Vietnamese people take selfies? We define the people taking selfies as professional self-branding specialists and indicated that there is something marketers and executives can learn from them. We actually had a really great conversation and discussion with the audience at the time. I'd like to extend our sincere gratitude to everyone who has joined our past presentations. Thank you so much. Alright, now, today we are gonna talk about Gen Z. But before we go into that, let me briefly talk about Hakuhodo's philosophy, which is Sei-katsu-sha Insight. What is Sei-katsu-sha Insight? Sei-katsu-sha Insight is written with Chinese characters like this: Sei-katsu-sha, which means life, living person. There are a lot of, long stories behind that, but long story short, this is a perspective, a way of thinking to view people not as consumers in an economic aspect, but as human beings holistically. Alright, let's take a look at this diagram. This is the aspect when we consider people as consumers. However, factors leading to purchase cannot be analyzed only with the superficial purchasing behaviors actually. For example, being a father or probably peer pressure from friends could make them decide to purchase. They are much deeper and complicated than what they appear actually. Therefore, we need a holistic approach to view people as human beings and not only in an economic aspect. Also, this is not about common code of conduct for marketing and product development. Let's hear consumers' voice carefully, let's analyze the purchasing behavior and customer journey. No, we are not like that actually. So in short, Hakuhodo's Sei-katsu-sha Insight is: number one, be critical about realities in a positive way. Second, view people holistically, not only in an economic aspect. Third, be super subjective as a human being with objective information. Fourth, connect what you observe to your own senses and let your imagination go. Alright, anyways, with this way of thinking, we get to see what it didn't appear on the surface. We, Hakuhodo, believe that it leads to solving the issues of companies and societies as well. So every single job of Hakuhodo is operated based on this Sei-katsu-sha Insight. Alright, without further ado, today's theme is Generation Z. Since the dawn of history, there's been a lot of misconceptions towards younger generations from upper generations all the time. So this time, with this Sei-katsu-sha Insight, we are gonna debunk these stereotypes of Gen Z and indicate some marketing implications. So let's dive into the contents. Gen Z, mysteries solved. Please enjoy our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ginta-san. Now, let's get back to the basic question. Why Gen Z? Why do we need to study about them when millennials is still the talk of town at this moment? Basically, they are the generation who is set to replace millennials really soon. They are rising fast and they are rising big to become the future of the workforce and the majority of our consumer base. Understand them benefits us in multiple ways, especially on how to build up a brand to be relevant to this ever-changing time of the new generation. And of course, how to communicate to them more effectively especially since what we know before might not hold true anymore. So the question now is to you, are you confident about your understanding of the newest generation and the future of your consumer? Because the new generation brings the new perspectives. For Gen Zers, they have their distinctive aspects which are so different to the previous generations, both in mindset and behavior. They have different media behavior, they have different purchasing behavior. But I'm sure that everybody knows it already, as there are many studies about these topics for the past several years. But we are not here today to talk about it. We are here to see and understand them for who they really are, a Sei-katsu-sha, a life living person. We are here to talk about the generations with characteristics which elder generations couldn't understand nor bear of. You may have heard the sentence before, young people these days. And I believe it's not only in Vietnam, but also all over the world. So we ask people on what they think about Gen Z. What is the most typical image of the new generation? And we summarize into some common interesting opinions as below. They don't care that much, and they have quite low sense of responsibility for work. Their life is much easier because the society is more open. Every unique aspect of a person can be accepted. And they are very opinionated. They never listen to us, the older generations. Last but not least, they stick to their phone to search for anything and decide based on it without any deep thinking for themselves. Does this sound familiar to you? I believe most of us face these stereotypes before when we grow up. Throughout history, when a new generation comes, old generations always put these kind of opinions on them. But are these opinions truth or they are just myths? Do we understand them enough and what we think based on the correct understanding? Or are we too quick on judgment and we just accept those mysteries? Okay, so in order to understand Gen Z and explain the truth of their mind as a life living person, let's dive in the 4 most typical opinions about Gen Z, 4 mysteries that we showed before. In terms of work, they have low sense of responsibility. In their social life, diversity is accepted. It seems easy and comfortable to live. When it comes to the relationship with other generations, they don't listen to guidance or opinions because they don't trust. Last but not least, their decision-making heavily relies on phone, with everything is first and foremost a smartphone search, and they decide based on it without deep thinking for themselves. So let's see if this is a myth or truth. For this topic, Hakuhodo collaborated with Van Lang University and their students. To understand Gen Z, we believe nothing is better than working with Gen Z themselves. There are many interesting findings were found, which we are going to show you today. And to solve Gen Z's mysteries in this way, we had quantitative and qualitative survey done by our Gen Z researchers to have the basic understandings and combine them with social experiments, dive deeper of those mysteries. Now, without further ado, let's dig in. First thing first, work. We asked some Gen X and millennials, what do you think about Gen Zers at work? Of course, there are a lot of compliments, especially on their creativity and their bravery to take on any challenges. But also, there are something like this. Lack of responsibility, don't want to work hard, job hopping when under pressure. I see them hang out and travel more than I see them work. So, on to the first myth. Gen Z has low sense of responsibility for work. Is it really true? Now, let me introduce Khai, a true Gen Zer and an insight specialist of our team. Khai, what do you think about this myth? What's your generation opinion on responsibility for work through your study?
Thank you, Sang. I think our generation faces this stereotype a lot. Now, let me review the truth of my generation. When I asked about this question, actually more than 90% of them disagree. They are responsible. In fact, nearly 80% of them think life is about fulfilling responsibility, both at work and in personal life. Now, let me make an example with this person. In our interview, she clearly said that she is even willing to sacrifice what she is doing if her boss needs her support. For her, she has responsibility and think work is a major part of her life. She wants to grow up through it. So actually, it is important to emphasize us, Gen Z, are responsible and we care greatly about work. It's a major part to help them grow up and support their life. So the question here is, what leads to this stereotype? Or we might turn the question around to have a better look. How do the Gen Z, want to grow up? First, for them, personal growth is work growth. At this stage of life and in this modern world with plenty of choice, they want to try, explore their interests to see what fits and what's not. They believe self-understanding will have job eventually. Second, they believe personal growth and work growth should go together, meaning they don't want to meet either from career to personal passion. It makes sense as they're still in the early stage of life. In short, for Gen Zs, exploration for self-understanding from both personal life and work's perspective is the way to grow up, and they want to do it holistically. This view on growth is quite different to previous generation, and also it might be the reason why we always see them traveling, focus on their hobby or even job hopping. Let's look at millennial. For them, hard work in specific area will contribute to personal life. They work hard, they focus on the job, and believe it will contribute to the happiness of their personal life eventually. Gen Z, on the other hand, they don't want to settle in one specific area yet, not until they try, explore, and see what really fits them. They challenge many aspects because they believe having multiple footholds is how they can grow. So you see, both generations spend the same amount of energy, but Gen Z had a holistic approach through many footholds, while millennials focus on a specific area, and that's the difference. In fact, 87% of Gen Z believe they need to equip themselves with plenty of knowledge from multiple areas to create a foundation for them to have independence in the future, from job option to choice of lifestyle.
I think that is really interesting. So in short, their life motto is explore many things and you will have a happy life, which I think contradicts with the common Vietnamese belief. So in this proverb, passes down generations of Vietnamese, is said to master one trade and you will have a comfortable life. Why so different? Why do they like to grow up in that direction? I believe it relates to the background of the two generations. So Khai, can you elaborate more on this?
Yes, it does come from the background of how people grow up. With previous generation, their life or their parent life have been through the hardship or even the war. The economy of Vietnam has just been growing since the reform in 1986. Therefore, stability was one of the most important qualities of life for a majority of Vietnamese people. The closest generation, millennial, who either experienced the hardship or were inherited the mindset of stability from their parents, it dictates the stable career with stable income to ensure the stability in life. Gen Z, on the other hand, grow up in a better and rising economy of Vietnam. Stability is no longer a survival kit. Also, with a fast-growing economy and international integration, there are more types of careers, meaning more chance to earn. The flat world of information gives them more perspective of life and career possibility. Therefore, Gen Z had the freedom to experience more types of career to explore themselves, while not to worry about their future or short-term livelihood. And for that, making a living through life passion is more desirable. So in conclusion, for the first myth, actually, Gen Z are very responsible with a strong desire to grow holistically. However, they had a different approach. For them, personal growth and work growth are equally important. They also want to explore to have many footholds in life, which is in line with their passion, eventually can enable them to live the lifestyle they want. In that understanding, what can we do as brand? We have to support their holistic life growth. Let's not think about and define them as an office worker or a working lady or a successful businessman anymore. Let's embrace their holistic growth, where life passion and career progression are equally important, and support them.
Thanks, Kai. Let's move to the next topic, Gen Z's social life. Now, I would like you to portray Gen Zers in your head. What is your type or image of them? We asked these questions to others, and here's the answers. Weird styles, diversified hobbies, the type of careers we did not see before, and their rebellious attitude. That's how we see them. For us, they are different, they are unique, and they are diversified, and even weird at times. So, let's investigate another myth of Gen Z's social life. Diversity is accepted. It seems easy and comfortable to live. Is it true or not? Let's hear from Linh, another talented Gen Z specialist of our team.
Thank you, Sang. Talking about diversity and uniqueness, yes, they are different, and 69% of them actually think they are different to their peers. They live in a world of diversity where everyone seems to have their own uniqueness. This can partially explained by the early internet adoption and also a more open-minded society we live in. People are more accepting to have something unconventional, from small things like lifestyle, fashion, or to bigger things like career. With that in mind, the next question is, how comfortable are they with this diversity? And it is really and easy to live like people think it is. Actually, the open world of vast information which enable diversity also brings peer pressure for Gen Z to be different. Having exposed to internet and the internet, where Gen Z can see everyone is so unique, also gives them a pressure to be different themselves. Where everyone is different, the normal one is the black sheep. And in that situation, they also feel like they need to cover what they are lacking of. They want to be recognized and don't want to be seen as an average Joe. So what we can see is as boom leads to an open exposure to differences. And this open exposure leads to the pressure of feeling I have to be different, to be unique myself, to not left behind. So furthermore, one thing not to miss is they are still in a very early stage of their life. It is the stage where they still don't know and quite uncertain about what is my strength or what is I'm really good at. And of course, they try many things to see what they can do the best. But at the same time, they see everyone is so cool, so successful online, and they feel the need of covering that uncertainty. Therefore, they have the need of feeling assured that what they are doing is correct, assured that they are going towards something good in their life. So sometimes they seek for likes online as a currency of reassurance. We all know the SNS currency of fame. We feel good when we post something and getting a lot of likes. But for Gen Z, it means deeper. It's the self-assurance when things are not black and white. So what we can see is when everything is easily accepted, it's not so easy to live as we think. But it raises a dilemma of uncertainty, of self-doubt. And that uncertainty leads to the need of feeling reassurance that you are doing right, you are okay. Briefly speaking, diversity, where anything can be accepted, enables Gen Zers to live and do what they want, but it also brings the side effect of pressure, the peer pressure to be different. You need to be as unique, as cool as people around you. Second, the uncertainty of oneself. Being unique, have different approach to life, yes, cool, but is this the right way? Or am I having it right or this is wrong? Which leads them to feel the need of reconfirmation. One way is through likes. If you receive lots of likes on SNS about what you do, you must be doing it right. Your life is heading towards the right direction.
Talking about reconfirmation, I think it's not only Gen Z, but all the generations need it. When we were younger in their age, we also felt uncertain. We need hints to know you are good and not so different, right? So the question is, what Gen Zers want to reconfirm? How is it different to Gen X to the millennials? Let's pick millennials, the closest one. They want recognition for their hard work to reconfirm their value. They work hard, focus on specific area. They want to reconfirm their value to their family, their peers, and the society they live in. So Linh, can you tell us about your generation?
Yes, so Gen Z is still in their early age with a life full of diversity and face lots of uncertainties in this stage. They are confused and need reconfirmation in their choice of work, which can root in personal passion, what they love doing rather than how much money they can earn from it. Their choice of lifestyles, which can be unconventional and not widely seen out there, or at least not common with their parents. The shortcomings, the weaknesses they have, which can come with their young age and can be improved as they grow later on. That's why they need reconfirmation to know it's okay to be you if you like who you really are and what you are doing. Regardless of it is unconventional, it's not realistic at the moment. It's okay, just try and see what works for you. So there you go, diversity is accepted, but it's not easy and comfortable to live as we might think. It comes with pressure. The pressure to catch up with your peers and be unique. The pressure of feeling uncertain, where everything is okay and accepted. They don't know what is the right things to do or not. And they need to be recognized, to be reconfirmed what they are doing is right. One way is through likes on SNS as a form of reassurance. Understand that we as brands and marketers, we should acknowledge them, support them and reconfirm their choices. It's correct as long as you like it and passionate about it. Now, let's go to the third myth about relationship. Have you heard about this? This is what people say when we ask, do you think Gen Z listen to the older generation's advice? This is what we hear. I don't think they listen to me. Or seems like they trust the internet more than their parents. Or I guess they think opinions from us old folk are not relevant anymore. And the third myth is Gen Zers don't listen to guidance or opinions of other generation because they don't trust. Do you think Gen Zers trust and act as other generation advice? Let's get back to Kai. What do you think?
Well, I think it's a controversial but interesting topic to study. But before we get into what Gen Z really think, let's talk about previous generation so we can compare and understand clearer. This is a classic Vietnamese proverb. The literal translation is, fish without salting will go rotten. Children who disregard their parental advice will inevitably go astray. And the moral lesson is, kid, listen to your parent and learn from their wisdom. You are too young. You haven't developed your own yet. It's been passed down generation, the belief you had to listen to your senior when you are young, because there were not many sources of information and guidance besides from the experienced people. Even the millennials live in this environment in their earliest age. The internet come to their life quite late. It's in their adult year for most of Vietnamese population. How about Gen Z? Do they follow this pattern of listening to the wisdom of the senior, or they don't trust their opinion like the stereotype? Let's find out. According to our study, it's pretty clear, nearly 100% value the opinion of older generation. They think they are informative and beneficial. However, 58% of them listen and sometimes follow. It's quite a gap. they value, they listen, but it's not necessary for them to follow 100%. Why that's so? Simply speaking, they listen for the advice, but they need to carefully evaluate the information before they make any decision. For them, any advice or opinion is valuable and they will follow it. It's right, but it's also just one option. Especially they understand opinion come from experience and people had different background, different experience. Therefore, they need to see all the options and consider which really fit them. We can say they do trust, but they don't act solely on those advice. They always collect many opinions. They respect what other Gen have to say because they value the experience they might lack. But also, they don't believe there's only one answer to anything. They know everything has multiple aspects, depends on your situation and what you want. That's why they need a lot of point of views and hold themselves responsible for the final decision and cautious in evaluate the option. At the end, only them know what they want. Why is that so? First, they had different background to previous generation. With the early access to the internet and its infinite information, they know a lot, which gives them the ability to think independently without relying too much on advice from their senior. And it's also important to note that they had different education as well. Most of Gen Zs are born and raised by the late Gen X or early millennial who are more progressive and learn from other countries to encourage independent thinking in their kids. In fact, our studies showed nearly 80% of Gen Z are encouraged to question things, to form arguments, and to have a point of view of their own. This is independent thinking from education. So, here's the third myth solved. They do trust other generation opinion actually, but they also understand things are multiple faceted with many angles depend on your situation and how you see it. So they want to make practical decisions through learning multiple sources, just the options, and through which is more suitable and beneficial for them. As brand, we should provide them multiple faceted information to support their independent thinking because we understand that's what they need, and that's how we can be relevant to this new generation in terms of information providing.
Now, as we know, they want to see 360-degree information, evaluate multiple factors when approaching anything. The next question is, how do they make that practical decision? First, I would like everyone to put two things together, a Gen Zer and a phone. How that picture looks. This is a typical image. They stick to their phone all the time, and the two seems to be inseparable. It's like an extended part of the body. And with that background, this is the most common knowledge amongst us, the marketeers and the brand owners. 8 seconds. It's a time span Gen Zers would pay attention to almost anything in this digital world. Those factors lead to one last myth we want to talk about today. Everything is first and foremost a smartphone search. They rely on it to decide without deep thinking. Again, let's see if this one holds the truth. Lin, what do you think?
To answer this question, let's do an experiment and see how millennials and Gen Z gather information to decide on a topic and see the differences. Our experiment was quite simple. We asked people to think about their trip to Hội An, search for information and decide on the hotel. We recorded the phone screen of the process and see the differences. This is how it looks like. We saw very different behaviors in the time they spent, the keywords they use, and how they receive and absorb information, which platforms they use. So first, the millennials, 5 minutes spent. The keywords they use were pretty general, like question or seek for advice. So we can see they tend to explore first, also quite cautious. They read thoroughly on own pieces of information they found, and they only use 2 platforms. Gen Z is different. They spend less time, only 3 minutes, but they use very direct and clear keywords when deliberately searching for what they want with very specific criteria, for example like cheap price. They only scan and skim through information and cross-check between many platforms. So, it's a process of deep thinking in a short time, enabled by fluent search skills. It can be said that Gen Z is familiar with digital from very young age. They grow up with it. Hence, naturally, they have developed the ability to process a huge amount of information and ability to judge the quality of it quickly.
That's interesting, like deep thinking in short time, using multiple sources. I have a question. In that ocean of information, how do they filter and see which one is qualified to support their decision making? And as brand, what can we do about it?
First thing first, they use and prefer snackable contents, which are short and direct to the point. For them, one search can lead to many results, and this concise format information can help them to get the right point and achieve the purpose quickly. Their behavior of searching can be summarized as: first, search directly for what they want with direct criteria. Second, skim through the titles and keywords to get the core information. And lastly, only choose to read the most relevant ones. And because they're exposed to the internet for a long time, they have a tendency to know their content preferences. Therefore, it's quite easy for them to recognize which one fits them the most. So to conclude, they do think deep, and actually they refer to an awful lot of information in a short amount of time. By looking at various platforms with ability to scan and skim for important keywords, they are able to determine the consistency of the information. The basic recipe is use the direct keywords, check multiple sources, scan and skim to get the key points, only read the most relevant ones, and lastly, after all, examine and decide. So with that in mind, we as content providers should always provide our good contents across platforms because we know they use an awful lot. And content should be designed for scan and skim behaviors. Long contents may not work effectively. And the keywords should be connected across platforms for consistency and support their decision making.
So, there you have it. Mysteries solved. Let's summarize this portrait of the newest generation by the lens of myth and truth. Work-wise, they are actually very responsible with a strong desire to grow. But they have a different approach. They look at growth holistically when personal life and career growth are equally important. In terms of social life, they live in the world of diversity, but it's not as easy and comfortable as we may think. Diversity brings them the pressure of catching up with their peers and also the uncertainty that if everything is accepted, how do I know if it's right or wrong? Still, they try so many things to explore for themselves, but also they need reconfirmation, the self-assurance that they are doing it right. In the relationship with other generations, in fact, they do trust, but they also know things are multifaceted and there are more than one answer to a question. They want to evaluate all aspects before making the practical decision that fits them the most. Lastly, they do think deep, even when we see them sticking to their phone all the time to look for information. They actually are super careful when picking up and examining information, and their advanced search skills enable them to do so in a short amount of time. So, we can see different gens, different lens. Each generation has their own point of view, and we need to acknowledge that. But in short, how should we see Gen Z? Gen Z in Vietnam is holistic gazer. Despite lacking of experience and deal with a lot of uncertainties in this early stage of their life, Vietnamese Gen Zers approach life in a very holistic point of view. They think about success in the way of harmonizing between career growth and personal development. They try many things to see what fits them, and they know clearly what they want with great ability to catch the key points through multiple angles. That enables them to make a right, rational decision that ultimately benefits them the most. Now, as the truth behind Gen Z is revealed, the mysteries were solved, let's talk about marketing implications. How can we apply these new understandings to build our brands and our communication? Let me introduce Noboru-san, our Integrated Marketing and Communication Director, to walk us through this.
Thank you, Tom. For this part, I would like to explain the marketing implication. Based on our analysis, we can say Vietnamese Gen Z is a holistic gazer. So how should brands successfully approach this unique generation by considering their insight and nature? So let's dig down it. First point of what we would like to suggest is to show your uncovered emotion to Gen Zers by having a heart-to-heart talk. Actually, as we explained, holistic gazer knows things have 360 angles. It means that things don't contain only good aspects. They fully understand that only showing sugar-coated things are not reflected the actual situation. Therefore, we should change the way of talking to a heart-to-heart talk. It is because brands can express their true aspect without any sugar coating, and the Gen Zers appreciate it. I would like to introduce one case study of Young Oi. She started the blogging journey since 2015, and she is making a positive impact on the young Vietnamese generation. The way of her talking is that she has an honest talk to viewers about really authentic topics in a cozy way. For example, she reveals her laziness, etc. when she cleans up the room. But it makes Gen Zers funny and trust her characteristics. She won't hesitate to show her true aspect. Second point is to accept Gen Zers as they are. So brands should get a position not to lead but to support them. As we explained second myth, Gen Zers long for reconfirmation from others about as they are. From that viewpoint, brands should have a position that doesn't lead them to an ideal person, rather support them as they are. Regarding this point, I would like to introduce one case study of the campaign called I See You by La Roche-Posay. In this campaign, the brand doesn't say that you should have clear skin. Rather, even people should not judge by skin, and people should see a person fully. By accepting consumers as total person characteristics, they show their attitude to accept people as they are. Third point is to show your multi-characteristics in multi-platform. As we explained in fourth myth, holistic gazer gathers information through multi-platform. Therefore, we recommend that a brand should provide information via multi-platform by matching the tone with each platform. For this point, I would like to introduce the case study of Tao Tan. She is also very famous among Gen Zers. The interesting point for her communication on SNS is that she changes topics and tone based on the platform. For example, on Facebook, she will put messages to promote and encourage readers to have positive changes. However, as for Instagram, she focuses on expressing her beautiful lifestyle with charming pictures. And with regards to TikTok, her contents are for entertainment by focusing on topics of daily life moments. Like this, it is attractive if a brand can show multi-angle by matching tone with each platform. So here is a summary of brand implications. First, have a heart-to-heart talk. Second, not lead but support them as they are. Third, provide multi-information in multi-platform. There are three important points that brands can refer to in their communication. Next, Kant Inada will introduce Hakuhodo's solution.
Thank you, Noboru-san. Hello, this is Kanto. So far, we have introduced the myths and truths of Gen Z and marketing implications for them. But then, how do we actually approach Gen Z? Let me introduce Hakuhodo's solution. We have set up an internal organizations of Gen Z, by the Gen Z, for the Gen Z, in order to understand Gen Z more deeply and to approach them more effectively. There is the Hakuhodo Vietnam Gen Z Lab. The Gen Z Lab is made up of Hakuhodo Gen Z members and provide a one-stop service for strategy development, media planning, and creative development. In addition, we work with the research agency to secure our own Gen Z survey panels. This enables us to provide fast and accurate Gen Z research. Specifically, how we work is that, as the basic package, we first conduct Gen Z target research following the client's requirements. This research is customized to the extent that we can provide the number of samples, questions, etc. Once we have the result of the research, our Gen Z Lab members use them to plan the communication from the perspective of Gen Z, from strategic planning to the creative development. To ensure the quality, our senior members, as myself and Tan, will stand by and support. Of course, it is also possible to use only the research package. The research can include up to 2 open answer questions with the maximum of 10 questions in total, and can range from up to 400 samples. Speed is important for us, so we will complete the research and report within a week. For detailed pricing and conditions, please contact us.
Thank you. So, there you have it. In short, Vietnamese Gen Z is holistic gazer. We hope this session today gave you a new perspective of our newest generation, who soon to be the majority of our workforce and our consumers. If you want to discuss further on anything, please contact us. The last part of this webinar will be Shopping Labo. I would like to introduce Kumagai-san. He's going to take us through this part. Thank you.
Hi, this is Kumagai from Hakuhodo Shopping Laboratory, Vietnam. And let me start our part, which try to figure out the Vietnamese people's shopping behavior. And the theme of this session is New Shopper Communication with Generation and Gender Analysis, the case study of Muji store in Ho Chi Minh City. So firstly, if we're talking about the basic trend of purchasing around us, as we all know, the digitalization of purchasing has been expanding year by year in all over the world. And if we look at the Vietnamese shoppers, the showrooming, which is touch and try at the store, then purchasing on a website, is tendency of shopping behavior. The survey said that people in Hanoi does the showrooming more frequently than people in Tokyo. And the big difference of Japan and Vietnam is the young generation ratio in total population. So obviously, Vietnam has more Gen Z than Japan. And the web roaming, which means the searching on a website, purchasing in a shop, is also the common behavior comparing to Japan. So the consumers in young countries such as Vietnam tend to jump between online and offline quite easily. So we can say it's commerce anywhere in Vietnam. Thanks to the digitalization, any touch point can link to the purchase point. And the process designing through the information providing to the commerce management became the essential issue of our marketing. Our shopping laboratory's mission is provide the solution to create a new path to purchase by managing online and offline shopping experience. And our international team, Hakuhodo Global Marketing DX Division, Hakuhodo Products Vietnam team, and Square team has been worked together and developing the shopping solutions. And the keyword of this session is pleasant shopping experience. if we overview the current shopping in general, the physical shopping has been in the main channel for a long time. And the digital shopping is attached as a sub-channel of physical channel. So we can call it attachment model. But a subject here is that in the physical shopping, all the things about in-store promotion is standardized. The same POSM for the different target audience, same merchandising, and same sale item for everybody. Even the digital shopping has been offering the personalized experience for each person already. So the challenging of the current retail is making it more personalized in physical stores, linked to the digital shopping, and personalized more on digital too. So what I would like to define here is the next shopping model I named embracing model. Every shopping needs to be surrounded and embraced by the present experience, which is personalized, frictionless, and not disturb you. So the pleasant experience must be timely and how convenient and how impressive for each person. And providing those pleasant experience can be next criteria of the brand communication. And it is more important for the digital native generation such as Gen Z. So for these decades, enterprises have centralized the ID, personal information, in marketing communications, and creates encirclement of the ads and promotions. And we can say everything here is for providing pleasant experience. And today, I'd like to show our challenging in a physical store. So this is one of our physical store solution named dynamic signage. By utilizing AI security cameras, we distinguish the shopper's demographic and it projects the optimized contents for the real shoppers. And this is suitable for car dealers, home appliance, etc., for all kind of industry. And as a challenging of Vietnam, I would like to show the Muji store case in Ho Chi Minh City. As you may know, Muji has very spacious, comfortable store, filled with the brand experience in District 1 in Ho Chi Minh City and Hanoi. And we choose the promotion space in the Ho Chi Minh City store and attach the signage on the pillar. And the shoppers are basically come from front side. So we utilize AI security camera to detect the shopper's behavior and demographic. The collected data were shared by secured cloud system with the Japan team immediately and got analyzed. Based on the actual result of analysis, optimized contents for the actual shopper are projected on the screen. As the summary of shoppers' demographic, young female was the main visitors in Muji Letanton store. And the number of visitors in the weekend were almost double of weekdays. And if we dig down more on the tendency of demographic, we could analyze the life of people in Saigon. For example, in the morning of weekdays, we got a lot of female in 30s, so we can guess these were the housewives after sending her family. And in the weekend, we have so many young shoppers, mainly Gen Zs, in the night time. And we analyze they hang around the city after dinner with their friends and partner. So, as an example of how we conduct our dynamic signage, I show you the case of young generation in the night time of the weekend. So we projected the scene which are suitable for the mood of the weekend shoppers, such as image of couple walking in the park, image of hanging around the city with friends and chatting with your buddy, or having a fancy meal. And as a result, we got higher traffic of our target than before, as female 20 to 29 years old went up 0.6%, which is following our intention, and male 12 to 39 years old went up as well. And in the other duration, we tested the effectiveness of the contents to male shoppers. Right one in the duration B conveys the organic cotton's quality with the beautiful blue sky and cotton flowers. Duration C in the center is about price discount, and duration D is the consumer's review for the product. So as a result of male shoppers survey, the price discount was the most effective one. The rate of visiting the signage area became 122% of the quality appeal, and the purchase rate of male t-shirts was 130% of quality appeal. So some of you might consider that, after all, the price down is always the king of the promotion. But the answer is actually no. The female behaved very differently. When we show the contents of the quality, the purchase rate of the female t-shirts was higher than the others. So the price down is not the most effective contents, and this result is completely different from the result of male. And this is very interesting point. The dwell time, the staying time in the signage area became longer when we show the contents of t-shirts quality. And we could see the same effectiveness in the case of people's reviews contents as well. So in summary, the quality appeal made female shoppers look around, spend more time in the t-shirts area and purchase. And the consumer's voice made them stay longer too. And we can consider the contents itself had some elements that shopper wants to know and glad to hear. That is why we could make them go around the shelf and stay longer there, and let them look and touch the t-shirts. So the present information made the present physical experience in reality. And that is a moment that present experience was happen in the middle of the marketing encirclement, and realize the powerful differentiation from the other brand by let them use their own eyes and hands. And here is another findings about web advertisement that we ran at the same period. We found that male were more attracted by the clip ads, the movie ads, than the graphic ads, because the male viewers ratio was significantly increased when we on-air the clip ads. And interestingly, we found the same tendency in the store. The contents of the clip brought more male shoppers to the signage area than female shoppers. So in terms of behavior on the web, female reacted more than male. The female audience tends to push like button, share and adds the friends with that and drop some comments. So the possible promotion plans in the short term of each gender can be pricing promotion with the clip for male throughout web to the physical store. And for female, it can be the friend invitation campaign. For the long-term plan, we can consider to start from targeting web ads, and when they visit the shop, let shopper touch the smartphone with their ID, showing the optimized contents on the signage everywhere in shop, and get the personalized customer service, and providing engagement contents after the purchasing. So one thing that is obviously able to define is that the race of the pleasant experience has already begun, and the Gen Z's mindset is fortune-telling the next shopping. So today, we mainly introduce the solution of in-store, and we will continue to developing the new solution from the pre-purchase to post-purchase for all kinds of industry. So that's all for me, and thank you very much for your listening.
So Kumagai-san's introduction about shopping laboratory has brought our webinar to the end. We hope all information today will be useful to you. Thank you very much for listening.